Hey guys, this is Phil with Suncoast Remodeling. Here I'm with the interior designer on my most current remodel, which is in Irvine, and we're doing a partial home remodel. This is Peggy Dupuy, and she's basically the interior designer and I'm the general contractor, and we are the team you see before you. Okay, so Peggy, why don't you tell us a little bit about you and how you got into interior design?
So my name is Peggy Dupuy, the last name French because I was married to a French guy. So anyway, so I got interior design because I lived in Paris for 24 years. While raising my kids, I went back to school and studied interior architecture in Paris. So we came out here to California to find a place for our own, because every summer we come here. We found this land, we built the house and designed and built it from ground. My neighbors started asking me to do their house, and it just toggled on from there. So I'm still doing it 11 years after we built the house.
Working with an interior designer helps my business a lot in so many different ways. Well, how would you say it starts with?
Well, it starts with most clients have their vision, but they don't know how to execute the vision. So we are there to help them concretize it. Is that the word?
And I've always noticed when an interior designer is involved, the homeowner has a professional to bounce ideas back off of, not only with like construction, because that would be me, but with design-wise. I'm not the best with ideas or being creative with patterns and finishes, but where the designer comes in, they'll pull the finishes, they'll pull the final project or the final products together, and then the decision, I guess, is it's already made by the time we go to install. Does that make sense?
Makes sense, yeah. So designing is an overall work, right? When you create a design of a home, you have to think about the spaces, the layout, the lighting, the material, the harmony, the function for each family who's living in the house, right? There could be a pet, so you got to think of that too. So it's an overall thought process. So it's not something that you just say, oh, I like that look on a catalog, and it's going to fit in that space. So yeah, it's a process of work. So by the time you get to the finished design, it looks like it's tailored.
Totally.
Right.
Totally. And then also to feed on that, if someone doesn't have a designer and then they come to me, they're asking all these questions that I really am not trained in. Mm-hmm. And I'm usually just like, pick what you want and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And then I'll do it and then they don't like it. Right. Or, I mean, the risk is that they don't like it and then they'll change their mind and be unhappy.
Right.
And that's like the nightmare situation for me.
Right.
Because I just want to do it once, do it right, and be done.
Right.
So behind us you see some shiplap, some millwork, and custom cabinets. I personally would not be able to portion that right or figure out what would look best. If someone were to draw this up, I can replicate any drawing to the T. But Peggy, what's the thought? Why would this be made in this way?
It's the visual effect. The client asked me to do wood slats, so I wanted to make something special for them. And just doing wood slats, everybody's doing wood slats these days. It's just kind of overrated at some point, But so I created part of it to look a little bit more. Again, as the word is tailored, right? So I introduced it to the client. I had this idea, and I put it together, put it on drawing, and then I showed it to them, and they loved it. So they gave me a couple of information, of course, to come up with this. So, to get to that idea, it has to come from the client. I can come up with any idea that I want, but what if they don't like it, right? So it always has to come from the client, and then I put it through, I create the concept using their idea, and voila.
Yeah. Did they explain to you where they wanted their inspiration, or did they show you photos?
No, they just talk to me. Most of the time the clients will show inspiration photos,
okay.
But my clients here actually just describe what they wanted.
Yeah.
Just saying I wanted some wood slats, and I said, well, I don't want to just give them wood slats. I want to make it a little bit more special.
Yeah.
So I came up with this design. I showed it to them. They loved it. So.
Yeah. I noticed when clients bring you inspiration pictures sometimes, you have to beat them up, almost dissect what they like about that photo. Because you could think they like something specific, you give them that and they're like, well, I kind of just like the way that felt.
Yeah,
I didn't like
yeah,
that exactly. You're supposed to
exactly.
read my mind.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of have to ask them too, what specifically do you like about this photo, right? So in this case, we didn't have a photo. We had just an idea that they like the wood slats. So instead of just doing all wood slats, which would have been not creative, as a designer, you're there to be creative. So I always like to give that extra push, extra originality, and creativeness. So,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, totally.
And I don't know if I'm sure some contractor are capable, I'm not sure, but they don't know the materials of design as well as an interior designer would.
Not at all.
So,
Yeah.
But they know how
Rarely.
to build it. That's why we complement each other, right? Because I
Totally.
wouldn't be able to build that. So,
There is definitely a stigma about interior designers and general contractors butting heads, clashing, whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure exactly why. I don't know why it happens exactly, but I have seen it happen. I have a theory, and I think it might have to do with egos. I would imagine the general contractor wants to be in charge, wants to run the show. The interior designer wants to be in charge or run the show. Where I haven't experienced that with Peggy is that we both just want the client to be happy in the end. We want the job to be done right, and we just want to go smooth. I don't care who's in charge. I don't care who's calling the shots. I just want it. I just want the final product to be what the clients want.
it has to be done right? So you have to make the client happy. Not only that, but you have to make sure that the finished product is completely done right, so you don't have any issues later. Because again, we're talking about risk. It's someone else's home. It's not your home, it's their home, and you're giving them the service, trusting you that you can finish the product correctly, right? So, so to have a good relationship between an interior designer and a contractor, you would have to make sure that you provide proper communication. You have to communicate. Without communication, everything will get twisted and turned, and you're going to start pointing at each other, right? You let the contractor do his job, and you let the designer do her job. My job is to make sure that the design is followed the way it was drawn up, and that when it was the one that was approved by the client, and his job is to make sure that it's built right. So that's the flow of the work. So no one is, I'm the boss, you're the boss, you're both working together as a team for the client. In fact, the boss is the client.
Exactly. Totally.